Get it right, get it tight.
Alright, the camera's on. So make sure you write, I'm good in the neighborhood. Okay, gang, what's up? We are back with another episode of the He Said, She Said podcast. I'm excited because we're getting ready to wrap up season 1, and it has been a journey.
It's been a journey. I blame myself a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But
don't blame yourself.
Because
every time we get on, like.
Well, look, you gotta be able to hold yourself accountable sometimes.
Right,
you
yeah, but sometimes accountability.
You don't know what the hell you want to say. Any damn way.
I am Coach
She
Cody.
Said podcast, and this is Coach Cody.
As y'all can see, we have definitely got a lot comfortable with the lighting and the presence of you guys watching us.
You didn't even say Nina Marie. And I'm Nina Marie.
She love that. And I'm Nina Marie.
First of all, my best friend and him forced me. They beat me to do it. They beat me, y'all.
Forced you to do it.
You changed my name to Nina Marie.
I don't think I said that. I don't think I ever said
that girl Nina. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, you need to try Nina Marie on social media because that
anyway,
Nina stuff is a little bit.
It's not. It's everything.
It might be everything, but it ain't everything.
No. Anyway, so the topic that we're talking about today, y'all, is something that actually just came up to me today as I was just frolicking in my apartment. And basically we're gonna talk about you ain't got the answers, Sway. You ain't got the answers.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers.
Like, have y'all ever, I'm talking to a single specifically. Have y'all ever, felt singled out or called out or just judged or misjudged by people who are like married? Like all of a sudden, your single friend who got married, who you went through with a lot of shit with, now she's a relationship guru. Now she got advice as to how you need to be. Now she know everything about how to get a man. Married couples advice to singles. Look, y'all don't always have the answers. Yeah. Sit down somewhere.
Is all married advice good advice?
Come on, please. Yeah.
Or is all married advice applicable to my single life?
Right.
Oh, that was almost like a...
That was good.
That was good. Oh, let me put that in my notes.
I like that. But I'll start. So, okay. What triggered this conversation for me, or brought about this conversation for me, is I saw on Facebook a video from Jackie Hill Perry. And no shade to her, I don't know what her intentions were or why she, what her heart posture was when she said it. But I'm just go ahead and just keep it real. A nigga was triggered a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was triggered because, she was like, either singles or, women just have a standard, something like that. And, for me, I was like, girl, have you forgotten where you came from? Have you forgotten what it means to be single? Have you forgotten the struggles of like singlehood, and the only man that you've ever known, you're married to him now. And so that's, once again, I feel like, for me, having that perspective or having that experience, I don't know if, she's able to relate to all singles or even just relate to singles in general because her story is different, And I think from my experience when it comes to like dealing with people who are married, I feel like once folks get married or whenever I'm around people who are married, it seems like they just have the answers for everything. And, it also seems like sometimes there's this tooting of their nose up at our problems as if your marriage ain't got problems. As if, you still ain't dealing with some stuff that we be dealing with, but you married. What's the difference? Oh, just because you married, I got the title of being married, so it's all good. But you single, so you shouldn't be doing it. It's okay if I do it because I got a man. No, like, I don't understand that logic. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm just saying from my experience is and this is what I've learned. I've been around some amazing married couples. Some of them are churchgoers, and in a way, and they're great role models, so to speak, when it comes to marriage and ministry, that form. But then I've also had some married people who aren't in the church and are still good married individuals, married couples to take some advice from and role models. But the way I looked at it is I've always took the nuggets that they drop. Like everything that my pastor would say is not going to apply to my single life. Mm-hmm. Everything that Jackie say ain't going to be, I'm not going to apply it. But some things I'm like, oh, I like that. Yeah. Put this in my bag. Yeah. Put this in my bag and apply it to my own relationship.
Yeah. Same here. I'm the same way. I mean, and I think that's just because you get to a place where it's like, I can't live my life for you, and I definitely can't walk in your shoes, and you definitely don't know what it feels like to walk in my shoes or to know what it feels like to struggle like me with being single and whatnot. And I think what the great thing that came about with that thought today was I'm just tired of being hard on myself for struggling with, in the area of single, of being single. I'm tired of beating myself up for struggling in the area of singleness. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it is what it is at this point for me. Like, I think I'm so used to like, you should know better, or, you da-da-da-da. And it's just like, at this point, it's like, look, it is what it is. There's so many other places in my life that I'm excelling in. There's so many other places, that I'm doing and thriving in. And just because there's this one area of mine that, I may be not the greatest at, and I really do rely on the grace of God, honestly, doesn't take away from all of the work and all of the growth that I've accomplished so far in my life. So that's just kind of like the epiphany that came to me. But I mean, I agree with what you said when you were talking about how, there are some married couples that you take from, and there are some married couples that you don't. And everybody just kind of has their own. You pick and choose what you what is it? You eat the meat and spit the bones out.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of crazy how every episode that we did is kind of tied back into another episode. And I think the thing about it is like, we got to understand, you still have the right to choose what you want to pick up from these other relationships.
Yeah.
Like just because they've been role models to you, like I'm gonna just use Megan Good and Devon Franklin.
Yeah.
I loved the concept of that relationship. Mm-hmm. This woman who isn't a woman of God, but she loves God, and this man
She's
of God.
She's not a woman of God. Why is she not a woman of God?
Well, I'm saying that I guess in the world we looked at it like she's not a woman of God because of what she does or because of the role she played. Okay. We looked at it like, oh, she can't be a woman of God, But he made everybody start to identify the God in her. That's what I feel.
Oh, okay.
And even though I love that about them, I couldn't just sit up here and be like, well, and I think that's what happened with a lot of people. That's why so many people like upset about them having a split. Because like I looked at them as role models.
Yeah.
And everything that he said in this book, I applied it to my life.
And look at them.
Yeah, and look.
They didn't even make it.
That's why, and this will be a whole nother episode. And it's like they decided, oh, we're gonna counsel Devon because he shouldn't be giving relationship advice. No, that was a relationship advice that this man gave based off of his situation in his marriage. And
that where the season that they were in,
right.
Like I think, and this, like I said, I'm not gonna just be like off of that whole situation. Like I'm not gonna totally counsel the nuggets that they gave. Like I'm sure that there were people that actually were helped and could apply that to their life, and it actually worked for them, and that's what they needed. Mm-hmm. But just because, their marriage didn't work doesn't mean that those principles or that, some of those nuggets aren't still effective if two people are willing to put in the work, And so, but on that note though, talking about married couples, giving advice as to like, oh, well, that's why you're single, because, you're not doing it this way. Like that's kind of the judgment that I've felt, from, I'm not saying all, but from a lot of married couples. I feel like they'll say, well, you're single because you're not doing this. And if you did it like me, then you'll be married. And it's like, then when you have a situation like, Devon Franklin and Megan Good, you're like, that happens, where you have those people who are like, yeah, I'm married because of da 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 da. But then why didn't you stay married,
Right.
And then, you kind of make singles question themselves because they don't do it like you. And it's like, I don't think that how someone gets married is the standard. I just think that how it worked for you that way. And that's great. Mm-hmm. I know people who say that, oh, well, celibacy is the guarantee that, your marriage is going to work. I know that, putting God first and, we're worshiping and going to church every Sunday, or, just certain things that, or like, I didn't chase after my man. I didn't approach him first. And that's why I'm married for however many years. But I've seen so many other people who are married where the wife was the one who approached her husband and he liked her too, and they're married. I've seen plenty of situations where celibacy wasn't even thought about when it came to like making a decision to be together and to stay together. And there have been marriages that are years in and they didn't start off with, yeah, we didn't have sex. That's why we've been together for 15 years. Nah, a lot of people had sex before marriage and they're still married. And that wasn't the guarantee of them breaking up, or that wasn't why they stopped being single, because they withheld something or whatever.
Right. I've never been the one, like I've never been the type of person that based off of, if I wait, this is going to work. Mm-hmm. Just because it worked for them don't mean it's going to work for me. Something else you said that I thought was deep was, it's not about how you get married, but how you keep that marriage. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And let me hear about how you kept it, not how you got it. Yeah. Because I can go out here and get married tomorrow. Yeah. It's a given. Yeah. But how did you keep it? Yeah. And I'm gonna say this, because maybe Devon is listening. I would love to hear the story about the divorce. Yeah. The process of how you felt when, everybody's saying that he's the one who filed for divorce. Like how you felt when you had to do that. Yeah. I saw the post about him, breaking down. Like I'm sure he broke down because apparently he loved this woman. Yeah. Yeah. But apparently something happened in between where he was at, where it was like, you know what? This ain't gonna work. Yeah. And however, even I would love to hear from her, and not saying that for them to expose each other, mm-hmm. but like how you felt. What's the process of getting over this person that you've been married to for 9 years?
Just being, transparent about your human experience. And we came together. This was definitely what we thought to be, a divine, a divine meeting. And I don't discredit that it wasn't a divine meeting. I do believe them when they said that it was a divine thing for them when they met. And unfortunately, we grew apart and we made a decision to separate for whatever reason. And just that in itself could probably bring about some healing for other people who thought that this was going to be forever, and it turned out that it didn't work out or whatever, So yeah, I would love to hear that too, just on a transparency standpoint, like not on some messy shit, you know what I'm saying, but just to help the next person, whoever's going through whatever they're going through.
Advice on the divorce, because everybody, like we all, I'm not gonna say we all because I've never experienced it, but there's people out here. No, I'm not. Oh, no, I ain't receiving no divorce down. No, I'm not claiming that.
No, I'm saying it's
never. Yeah. Follow me now. Follow me.
No, you're talking about marriage. My bad.
But it's coming. It's definitely coming.
That's coming.
One day I'm like, guess what, y'all?
We's married.
I was married now.
Yeah.
A whole husband over here.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably we both gonna be celebrating together.
We're gonna hiatus.
We're gonna have a whole celebration.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, this is my baby, man.
Right, you know.
How good he stepped on my toes, girl. Crazy. But,
yeah, but I mean, have you ever felt, judged, or have you ever felt like, certain, or is there any example of, a married couple that gave you something that you were like, that's not for me?
I hate that. I don't want to sound like I just got it all together because I don't. Mm-hmm. But I've never experienced, I just always picked up what I need to pick up. My pastors, I love them. They're like, it's things that they drop, and I'm like, oh, okay. One of their biggest stories is my pastor always talk about how he waited. He waited on her, mm-hmm. To have waited to marriage to have sex. Mm-hmm. And that's their story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if I meet somebody and that's her goal, then yeah, I would definitely come into agreement and say, look, we're gonna at least try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're gonna at least try this and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And he also talks about how there was definitely times where he was tempted. But he was like, you know what? I'm sticking to this. I think the biggest thing that I took from that is like, I would love to apply that to my life. Mm. Because the first time would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
At least I hope so. Because if not, I'm like, what?
That's why I'm not ready.
Oh no, and this is just my take. I believe if it was on those two individuals' heart to wait, then I feel like there's no reason why God can't bless that intimate moment with the two of you.
I've heard horror stories from women who they did it.
But see, and I'm gonna say this too. Like, but was that waiting because God said wait, or was that waiting because of what you had been taught?
It's the same thing. Like,
no,
it's still right.
It's right.
You already know what the Word of God says. Yeah, so whichever reason why they're doing it, they're still trying to honor God either way. I think what I see is that just because or that's a tough one there. I was gonna say basically like maybe they weren't meant to be together, or maybe they weren't patient enough to weather that storm of figuring out how to sexually please each other, and their impatience broke them up.
It's a possibility, just from me listening to it, I just look at it like, is that something that God said for y'all's story? Because I could have easily, in other relationships, I was willing to wait, and then when the moment came, I was like, it ain't really what I thought it was gonna be. I'm kind of glad I didn't, wait as long as I did, because it was, and then there was sometimes I'm like, all right, well, I don't mind waiting. Mm-hmm. And one thing about me is like I'm based off of like chemistry in itself, emotional chemistry, spiritual, because I do believe there is spiritual chemistry that you can have with somebody, sexual chemistry, and if I'm vibing with you to the point where like ain't no if ands buts about it, it's gonna be amazing because everything is already lined up, and my advice to anybody who is waiting, do your thing. But my advice also is, make sure that that you have those pinpoint moments where when that time does come where y'all are intimate after marriage, that everything lines up. Because, and this could be another episode, like being sexually pleased does not just mean sexually pleasing each other. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's the chemistry that keeps y'all together. One thing about me is like, and I guess I'm talking about myself, the times that I have been sexually active with people, there was times where I was just in it for the sex. And then other times I was like, oh, this person turned me on and I'm not even really attracted to them because of the chemistry of the thing, so.
Well, so for me to answer that question as far as like what type of advice, or things that I've been told of like, this is why you're single, or like something that didn't resonate with me was the trying to dim my voice as a woman. And if you're too too vocal, or if you have your own mind, then that's why you're single. And over time, I've had to do my own healing and looking within myself, and my own relationship with God. I had to kind of make peace and heal certain parts of that, because I started to believe that, like, oh, the strength of my voice is what's making me unattractive to men. And I had to rebuke that in the name of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Because, when I started reading my word and getting into the truth of who God calls us as individuals, I started to learn, and not even that, just listening to other men who are married to strong women, or other men who believe in the equal rights of men and women. And not just men, but just women too, who have educated me on, owning your voice and taking ownership of it, and not hiding it, because you may intimidate other people. And I was taught, just by like soaking all this knowledge in, that, you own who you are, and the right person should celebrate that. And if you have a voice, and that's what you're, meant to do, and someone should not try to kill that trait in you to boost their ego, or to feel more like a man, or to feel more, like, oh yeah, this is my wife because I feel like the leader, or the man, because whenever we're out in public, she don't speak, I speak. Whenever we are at the dinner table, we out at the restaurant, I order her food. And that makes me feel like a man, because she's silent. Like, her silent, her quote unquote false humility and false submission is what makes me feel like a man. And it's like that, those aren't qualities that you want a man to have if he's going to be your husband, and you are a woman that wants to be able to have a voice. That's not healthy. And so that's something that I've heard, and I've had to reframe that whole thing.
That's good.
So I know one for you. Like, when it comes, and we've talked about this in some of our podcasts before, but like, your manlyhood, your masculinity,
mm-hmm.
that like, women won't find you attractive if you're not a certain type of,
right,
figure of a man,
right,
or whatever.
With that, that's something I feel like I'm learning as I go along.
Mm.
I'm an advocate for having your own personal relationship with God.
Mm.
And this is what I've learned. Whoever God has for me, if she has a personal relationship with God, there's no ifs, ands, or buts for the question the man in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know that's a man.
Yeah.
Because, and you shouldn't even have to have a conversation with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, because I have a relationship with God, I've identified that this is a man of God.
Mm.
And I don't have to question his pink shirt. or his product. Just because. Salmon. But you know how niggas is. That's a pink shirt. I don't care what he say. But as long as my whole train of thought. But
question you
talking about my salmon shirt. But I've learned that, or put it like this, I've learned to be okay with where God has me.
Yeah.
And if you want to be down,
and who you are as an individual.
Yeah, and I think that comes with just accept or me having a relationship. My relationship is not perfect, but it's getting there. And not saying that I'll ever get to be perfect, but the fact that I still have process and hope and faith that it's going to eventually get to that point. Whoever, like we talked about in the previous episode, like, whoever wants to join this journey with Cody, cool. And if you want to fall off and say, well, he's not man enough for me, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
know who I am.
Yeah.
In Christ Jesus, who strengthens me all my life. Nah. But I know who I am as a man. I know who I am, and I really believe it's a difference. There are there is who I am as a man, but there's also who I am as a man of God. And together they create the Cody.
Yeah.
They create this man with a pink salmon shirt on.
In a damn way. So what would you want to give that you haven't already given to the people
we're giving you a
to take away for free? Some golden nuggets.
Yeah, we're gonna get a Patreon.
When it comes to singles in particular, when it comes to their journey and just
their singleness.
Yeah, their singleness.
If I could leave y'all with anything, it's just to like I keep saying, have a relationship with God. Probably don't know, but if I could leave y'all with anything, it's just to know yourself well enough to know what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to making a commitment with somebody, or like we said in the previous episode, making a covenant with somebody. Because again, making a covenant does not mean everything is going to go your way. Doesn't mean it's going to work like such and such in the relationship work, because you're not such and such. Mm-hmm. I back to my passion, just because me and this girl decide one day, we're going to make a commitment to be each other and wait there. So what happens when 6 months in and I'm over your house and we end up having sex? Are we going to just be like, oh, this is not a God.
Yeah.
We need to go our separate ways because it did not work the way we planned on it working out.
Right. Or
are we going to remain? Because I believe that there has to be a situation where you make a covenant before you actually get married with that person. Mm-hmm. Meaning, despite whatever happens, I'm making a commitment to you that I believe in this is marriage, that this is God, and we're going to work it out.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people where they've been single, or I wouldn't say single, but they've been dating and the guy cheats. And they forgive him, and then they get married. And then he never cheats again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But what would have happened if she had said, well, you cheated on me, and the advice we got from such and such, if he cheats, then don't marry him.
Yeah.
Like, know what to take and know what to apply to your own life.
Yeah. What I would, say to singles is, the same kind of just I piggyback off of what he said, but also give yourself radical acceptance and radical understanding and radical compassion for your journey, because everybody's journey is different. You may have similar things that, you've gone through with other people and someone can relate and give you advice and whatnot, but you still have to go through, you have to go through it yourself, and I'm all for, taking heed to wisdom and whatnot, like definitely take heed to wisdom, but, having a relationship with God will definitely help you to, take the wisdom that's for you. Because that's something that I apply from my life. Because I have a relationship with God, there's some things where I'm like, okay, I can work with that. And I don't care if it's a single person or if it's a married person talking to me. Wisdom is wisdom, and if I can use that and apply that to my journey in singleness, then I'll use it. And then some things I'm just like, it's not gonna really work for me. Like that's not gonna work, where I'm cooking my man's food every day just to, get just certain things just not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So definitely and learn yourself, become familiar. Take the singleness as like a gift. Like literally, it may not feel like a gift, but it is, because you have all that time to learn who you are. It's so hard. I know for me anyways, it's so hard to kind of have that time with yourself to reflect on yourself when you're so consumed with making a relationship work. And, sometimes you can get so caught up in being one that you forget about yourself. And so definitely, take that time as this is a gift. Let me become more self-aware. Let me heal. Let me, learn to love myself even more, so that I can present myself to the person that I'm going to spend, the rest of my life with when it's time, That's just my little nugget.
Right. Drop these nuggets, pick up what you want, and what you don't, just leave it there. Somebody else get it. Because these are some valuable nuggets here. You ain't got to take it. Sway. Somebody else get it. Nah, but for real, And another thing, listening to you say that, I wanted to, advise people, like, ask God for more wisdom, even if you have wisdom already.